Welcome back to Transcriber from Reddit. Today is a website read from ministrywatch.com. The title reads, Former Exodus International Leader Arrested on Child Solicitation Charges. With a subtitle, Alan Chambers was recognized as world's, quote, Daniel of the Year, end quote, in 2011 before changing his stance on homosexuality. Written by Kim Roberts, May 21st, 2026. This transcription will take a different angle, as I will not be transcribing the whole article, preferring instead to look at how Ministry Watch and the author of this article chooses their words regarding Alan Chambers' Exodus International and the reason why Exodus International closed, as well as Alan Chambers changing his statements to reflect his apologies to the LGBTQ community for the harm that their conversion therapy, in this article referred to as reparative therapy practices, caused them. For the moment, continuing here, Alan Chambers, who led a ministry that worked to help people overcome struggles with same-sex attraction, was arrested in Florida this week and charged with solicitation of a minor. Photo included here. Chambers, 54, was taken as part of an Orange County Sheriff's Department sting operation. In an arrest affidavit, an undercover officer alleged that Chambers exchanged sexual messages for several months with someone he thought was a teenager. In quote, Alan Chambers has been arrested after he attempted to meet someone he thought was a 14-year-old boy, but it was actually an undercover detective, end quote. The Orange County Sheriff's Office said in a post on X linked here on Tuesday, May 19th. According to the Sheriff's Office, Chambers has been charged with solicitation of a minor, and transmission of harmful material to minors and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Chambers also allegedly paid for sexual favors from male prostitutes, according to the affidavit. An undercover officer alleged he first made contact with Chambers on Snapchat in February. At the time, the officer identified himself as a 14-year-old boy. Chambers then allegedly began to send sexual messages about their, quote, forbidden love, end quote, for months. The officer obtained a warrant for Snapchat account, allegedly belonging to Chambers, and later got warrants for Chambers' school account and cell phone. On Tuesday, the officer pulled Chambers over for a traffic stop and arrested him. The arresting officer said Chambers admitted communicating with a 14-year-old who Chambers said he met on Snapchat. Quote, when I asked him what they discussed, he told me that they discussed meeting but would not specify to do what, end quote, the officer wrote in an arrest affidavit. Chambers was ordered to pay $15,000 in bond in order to be released. He is to have no contact with children, is to be online only for business purposes, according to WESH, linked here. Solicitation of a minor is a third-degree felony in Florida that carries a possible prison term of up to 5 years. And side note, I hope that they have everything in order so that Chambers will be charged and be sentenced and face the entire full weight of the law. May the book be thrown at him. Here's where it gets interesting. In 2001, Chambers became president of the now-defunct Exodus International, a Christian ministry that helped people struggling with homosexuality. He was praised by many evangelical leaders, including World Magazine, who recognized Chambers with its, quote, Daniel of the Year, end quote, award in 2011. Also linked here, let's check out World Magazine from worldnews.org. At the top, we see editor's note. World named Alan Chambers its 2011 Daniel of the Year for his decade of work at Exodus International, a Christian organization founded to help men and women battling the sin of homosexuality. In the year after World published this story, Chambers' public statements about homosexuality shifted, and he led efforts to close Exodus International in 2013. Our detailed coverage of those developments can be found in the following articles. Alan Astray, linked here, August 11th, 2012, issue of World Magazine. The Exodus of Exodus International, linked here, June 20, 2013. And Leaving Exodus, linked here, July 13th, 2013, issue of World Magazine. The statements here, as in the previous article from Ministry Watch, seemed to share the belief that Alan Chambers' view on homosexuality changed. But what did Alan say? Accessing those links from World for some reason are not working for me. So, heading over to ABC News, where I found this article. On June 20th, 2013, Exodus International gay cure group leader shutting down ministry after change of heart. And their quotes from Alan Chambers includes an apology. Quote, "I am sorry for the pain and hurt many of you have experienced. I am sorry that some of you spent years working. Shame and guilt you felt when your attractions didn't change," end quote, Chambers said. Quote, "I am sorry we promoted sexual orientation change efforts and reparative therapies about sexual orientation that stigmatized parents," end quote, he added. Quote, "I am sorry that there were times I didn't stand up to people publicly, quote, on my side," end quote, who called you names like sodomite, or even worse, end quote. The group's, quote, conversion therapy, end quote, was based on the belief that people are not born gay, but rather choose to act on same-sex inclinations, making it a condition that could be cured. Note that the words condition and cured are in quotations. Later on in the same article, Chambers, who is married to a woman, said in his apology that over the years he had, quote, conveniently omitted my ongoing same-sex attractions, end quote. Quote, "They brought me tremendous shame and I hid them in the hopes they would go away," end quote, he said. Quote, "Looking back, it seems so odd that I thought I could do something to make them stop. Today, however, I accept these feelings as parts of my life that will likely always be there," end quote. And further down, Chambers said he and the Exodus International team plan to start a new rebranded ministry for a, quote, new generation, end quote. Quote, "Our goals are to reduce fear and come alongside churches to become safe, welcoming, and mutually transforming communities," end quote, Chambers said. The decision to shut down Exodus International was heralded by LGBTQ groups and supporters who called on the group's leadership to persuade other institutions to end the practice of, quote, reparative therapy, end quote. The statements and apology that are quoted here and here in this article, the article notes that the American Psychological Association said that there's no condensing it down, there's no evidence to support the use of these kinds of interventions to change sexual orientation. So everything from the statement by Chambers seems to represent his changing view of you shouldn't use reparative therapy, or known as a version of conversion therapy, to try and change people's sexuality. But here at the beginning of the article, it says changing his stance on homosexuality. Later on in the article, they link to Chambers' announcement saying that Exodus International would change its strategy, going away from conversion therapy. And instead of using the words conversion therapy in their article, Ministry Watch, in this case, the author chose instead to use the words reparative therapy. They quote his doubts, at least some certain words of his doubts. And that there was controversy when Chambers made comments to the Gay Christian Network of, "We're all Christians, all of us, and we all love Jesus." And noting, Exodus International announced it would cease operations on June 19th, 2013. Chambers saying, in quotes, "For quite some time, we've been imprisoned in a worldview that's neither honoring toward our fellow human beings nor biblical. From a Judeo-Christian perspective, gay, straight, or otherwise, we're all prodigal sons and daughters. ... God is calling us to be the Father, to welcome everyone, to love unhindered," end quote. Before the article ends on, as Chambers publicly changed stance on homosexuality, there's nothing in Chambers' statements that, at least looking at what is linked here and doing a cursory search, doesn't look like Chambers' statements have changed regarding his view on homosexuality. And Ministry Watch article also conveniently leaves out that Chambers was part of the LGBTQ community before being married to his wife, Leslie. The last statement where they say in 2015, Chambers wrote My Exodus from Fear to Grace, linked here, in which he admitted to having same-sex attraction while married to his wife, Leslie. Well, the author forgot to mention that Leslie was married by Chambers because Chambers was leaving the LGBTQ lifestyle. Whether he married her because he thought it would help change him or he thought it would be a better look for Exodus or it was a myriad number of other factors, none of us will ever really know. Chambers is still in denial. Otherwise, why would Chambers be charged with the solicitation of a minor, where he is making sexual and sending sexual messages about the forbidden love to the 14-year-old boy that he had contact with, underage 14-year-old boy. The statements being made in this article, as well as in the World articles, do not actually do Chambers' stance shifting from endorsing that kind of conversion therapy to moving away from it, to apologizing for it, to closing Exodus International stores, and now to his crimes that he's being charged with and potentially could get convicted with. These statements do not reflect what Chambers is going through on the inside. And I don't think that Chambers has been honest and despite having made positive changes and trying to repair the damage done to the LGBTQ plus community by conversion therapy and conversion therapy advocates, Chambers has not really reckoned with that kind of change. We know he hasn't because of these charges. The good that he tried to do by closing down Exodus International is outweighed by this, and it makes me wonder if there was anyone at Exodus International that knew about these problematic behaviors of his. My sympathies go to his wife, who must be in shock from dealing with all of this. And that's another thing. We don't even know if he's still married, or maybe they quietly separated. Regardless, my condolences to his wife for finding out about this. And I hope that she gets the support that she needs to move away from this into a healthier, happier life. As for Alan Chambers, I hope that he accepts responsibility for his actions, starts working on himself, takes accountability, and offers an authentic apology. It seems like he has more reparative work to do, both internally and externally. And he is never someone to be trusted ever again around a child. And as for Ministry Watch and the author here, I do hope that they make changes to the article to reflect more accurately what Alan Chambers said and what Exodus International admitted before closing their doors. There was genuine harm done to LGBTQ plus people in the form of conversion therapy or reparative therapy, and Alan Chambers and Exodus International admitted as such. The implication here in these words appears to be that Exodus International was not wrong in their application of conversion therapy, only wrong in them admitting that it caused harm to thousands of people. Multiple things can be true. Alan Chambers needs to face the consequences for his actions, for being inappropriate with a minor. And more accuracy is needed when accurately describing what happened with Alan Chambers and Exodus International. Just because there was an apology made for running conversion therapy doesn't mean that their theology changed or that their view of homosexuality changed. Only their view changed, their view of a forced conversion therapy practice that they encouraged, endorsed, and applied, and encouraged people to pay money for, to force other people to undergo. Let me know your comments down below. Thank you for watching/listening, and I will see you in the next video.